Hello friends. Before we start today's stories, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment which story you like most, where you're from, and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. I never thought making an OnlyFans account would lead me here. Hiding inside my own apartment with all the lights off, praying the man outside my door gives up and leaves. It's funny. I used to laugh when people warned me about obsessed fans. I thought that stuff only happened to celebrities. But I'm not famous. I'm just a 27-year-old woman from Portland who wanted to make some extra cash during lockdown. When I started my account in 2020, I treated it like a part-time job. I posted cute selfies, flirty clips, and kept things tasteful. I never showed my face at first, just enough to tease, to keep people interested. My username was Luna Bliss. At the time, it felt anonymous, safe. Then he subscribed. His username was Real Devoted Fan. At first, he seemed like any other follower, polite, supportive, always tipping a little extra. His messages were short but thoughtful. You have the most beautiful smile. I hope you're having a good day, Luna. It felt harmless, sweet even, until it wasn't. After a few weeks, his messages became more frequent, longer. He started commenting on things I never posted publicly, like the color of my couch, the way the light hit my window at sunset. He even guessed the kind of coffee I drank. That's when I realized he was watching me. Somehow, I tried to brush it off. Maybe he was guessing, right? Maybe I'd slipped and posted something that gave him clues. But then one night, while streaming live, he sent a tip, $100, and typed, "The red shirt looks better than the blue one you wore last night." I froze. The red shirt? I had worn that in my living room, not on camera. I ended the stream immediately. I remember pacing back and forth, heart racing, palms sweaty. My apartment was on the 4th floor. The only window faced an alley. No one should have been able to see me from there. But that night, when I looked out, I saw a faint glow in the darkness, like the reflection of a phone screen. Then it blinked off. The next morning, I told myself it was paranoia. Still, I taped over my webcam, closed the blinds, and decided to stop posting for a while. I even sent my subscribers a message, taking a short break. Need some time off? Most were understanding, except him. That same evening, I got a message, not through OnlyFans, but my personal email. "You don't have to hide, Luna. I like you better, natural. No filters, no masks." I felt sick. My OnlyFans email was totally separate. There was no way he could have found the personal one unless he had hacked something. Or worse, he knew me in real life. I tried reporting him through the platform, but his account vanished before support could do anything. For a week, I tried to calm down, convincing myself it was over, until the packages started coming. First, it was flowers. Then, a stuffed rabbit with a small note. "Thought of you." Then, a pair of lace stockings, the exact same ones I'd worn in a set I'd posted 3 months ago. That's when the fear turned to full-on panic. I went to the police, but they couldn't do much. "It could be a fan sending gifts," the officer said. "As long as he hasn't threatened you, it's not harassment." But something felt wrong. That night, I installed cameras inside my apartment, just to feel safe. Except, the next morning, when I checked the footage, there was a moment around 3:17 a.m. The camera caught movement, a tall silhouette standing near my front door, just inside the entryway. The door hadn't been forced. No signs of a break-in. But he had been there. I don't remember what happened next very clearly. I remember screaming, grabbing my phone, calling 911. The police came, checked everything, found nothing. No prints, no sign of forced entry. But the gifts kept coming. One morning, I opened my door and found a single Polaroid photo taped to it. It was a picture of me, sleeping, in my bed. That was the moment I packed a bag and left. I moved in with my cousin in another city, deleted my OnlyFans, changed my number, and shut down every social account. But somehow, he found me again. 2 weeks after moving, I got a text from an unknown number. "You look lonely in your cousin's place. Don't worry, I'll always find you, Luna." That was when I realized this wasn't about OnlyFans anymore. It was about obsession. After that message, I stopped sleeping properly. Every sound made me flinch. The creak of floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, even the wind outside my window. I kept checking the locks over and over again, convincing myself I was safe. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. My cousin, Mara, tried to help. She told me to go to the police again, to block the number, to stop feeding into the fear. So I did. I changed my number again. I even bought a cheap flip phone, no apps, no internet, just calls. For a few weeks, things were quiet. Too quiet. Then, one morning, I noticed something odd outside Mara's apartment. A small black van parked across the street. Wasn't there before. The windows were tinted pitch black. The engine wasn't running. And yet, every time I looked outside, it was there. Always in the same spot. When I finally worked up the courage to step outside and take a closer look, the van was gone. Like it had never been there. Mara thought I was losing it. "Girl, you've got PTSD," she said. "You need therapy, not detective work." She wasn't wrong. I did start seeing a therapist. Dr. Kendall, kind and soft-spoken, told me trauma can make your mind play tricks. That fear can grow its own ghosts. I wanted to believe that. Until the night I heard him whisper my name. It was just after 2 a.m. I was lying in bed, half asleep, when I heard the faintest sound from the hallway, like someone dragging a fingertip across the wall. Then, a whisper. Soft male. Familiar. Luna. I sat up immediately. My pulse exploded in my ears. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and crept toward the door. The hallway light was flickering. The old apartment kind of buzz and dim glow. The air felt thick. Still, I was about to open the door when I saw something. A folded note slipped under it. I stared at it for a full minute before picking it up. In red ink, it said, "Why did you move?" We were just getting close. I screamed so loud, Mara came running. We called the police again, and this time they took fingerprints. The result came back, no match found. That same week, I decided I couldn't do this anymore. I quit my job, packed up, and left the city. I rented a small cabin up north in the Oregon woods. Isolated, quiet, surrounded by trees. No social media, no OnlyFans, no contact with anyone except Mara. For the first time in months, I felt free. I started hiking in the mornings, cooking real food, sleeping without pills. The silence felt healing. Until one evening, I came home from a walk and found a small gift box on my porch. No name, no return address. I stood there for a long time before opening it. Inside was a Polaroid picture. Another one. But this time, it wasn't of me sleeping. It was me in the woods, taken that very morning. I dropped the box. My stomach twisted. He'd found me again. There were no cars, no neighbors nearby. For him to take that picture, he had to be somewhere close, watching me. I called the police again. They sent an officer who searched the area, found nothing. No tracks, no cameras, nothing. The officer gave me that same look, half pity, half disbelief, before telling me to keep my doors locked and stay alert. But that night, I woke up to the sound of my cabin door opening, just the faint creak of old wood. And then, footsteps. I froze. I could hear him breathing, slow and deep, as he walked through the living room. The floorboards moaned beneath his weight. I didn't dare move. My phone was on the table across the room, too far to reach. I stayed still, pretending to sleep, hoping he'd leave. But then, I felt it. The faint pressure of someone sitting on the edge of my bed. The air around me grew heavy, warm from his breath. And then, in that same low whisper, he said, "You shouldn't have run, Luna." I screamed, grabbed the nearest thing, a lamp, and swung it as hard as I could. It crashed, sparks flying. I bolted for the back door, sprinting barefoot into the woods. Branches tore at my skin as I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the road and flagged down a passing truck. The driver, a middle-aged man named Bill, called the cops immediately. When they went back to the cabin, it was empty. No signs of forced entry, no footprints. But on the bed, they found something, a small recording device taped under the frame. It had been recording for weeks. The police played it back. They heard me, sleeping, talking, crying, and sometimes, faintly in the background, his voice. But when they tried tracing the device or any connection, there was nothing. No prints, no identifiers, no trace of D or whoever he really was. I moved again after that, changed my name, my appearance, everything. I don't post online anymore. I don't even use my real birthday on forums. It's been a year now, and I'm still trying to rebuild my life. Therapy helps, but sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear that whisper in the dark. And every few weeks, I get a letter. No return address, just a single Polaroid inside. Sometimes it's a picture of a street I passed that day. Sometimes it's my new house. Last week's photo was the worst. It was a picture of me sitting on my couch, typing this story. So if you're reading this, please, for the love of God, don't assume your fans are harmless. I used to think the internet was just a place where people watched and forgot. Turns out, some people don't forget. Some people don't stop watching. My name's Grace Dalton, and a year ago I started streaming on OnlyFans. It wasn't something I ever thought I'd do. But rent in Austin was killing me, and bartending barely paid enough to keep the lights on. So I made a deal with myself. No face, no names, no real location. I called the account Texas Sundown. I posted soft content, silhouettes, light teasing, nothing explicit. It was just easy money. I didn't even talk much, but for some reason people loved it. The mystery worked. After a few months, I built a loyal base, about 12,000 followers. I started doing private streams once a week for top tippers. That's when one username started showing up more often than anyone else. Warden13. He wasn't like the other fans. He didn't flirt, didn't comment anything sexual. He just watched. I could see his username pop up every time I went live, always the first one there, the last to leave. It almost felt comforting at first, like having a regular customer at a bar. But the longer it went on, the more uneasy I felt. One night, I was doing a private stream from my apartment. The chat was quiet, just a few comments trickling in. Then Warden13 sent a message. "I like your new apartment." I froze. I hadn't mentioned moving. I hadn't shown anything that could reveal where I lived. The camera was always fixed to a backdrop, a plain, dark wall. I typed back, "What do you mean?" He replied instantly, "The second-floor window, right?" Nice view of the parking lot. My blood ran cold. I ended the stream immediately and shut my laptop. I ran to the window, looked out at the lot below. There was nothing there but parked cars and shadows. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the building made my heart jump. I kept staring at that same window, half expecting someone to knock on the glass. The next morning, I told my best friend, Liv, about it. She laughed it off. "Creeps online," she said. "They guess things, and sometimes get lucky." I wanted to believe her, but then it happened again. A few nights later, I was live, just chatting, no video, when Warden 13 sent another message. "Stop biting your lip when you're nervous." I hadn't said anything. I hadn't made a sound. But he was right. I was biting my lip. My camera was off. How did he know? The fear started to bleed into my daily life. I stopped streaming for a while, went back to bartending, tried to disappear online. For a few weeks it worked. Then one morning, I woke up to find my laptop open, even though I'd shut it before bed. The webcam light was on. I pulled the plug out, threw a blanket over it, and drove straight to a repair shop. The tech looked it over and said the camera had been remotely accessed multiple times over the past month. I felt sick. He said it could have been through malware, maybe from a file, a message, a link. But the truth was, I'd never downloaded anything from anyone. That night, I checked my OnlyFans again. My account was gone, deleted. I hadn't done it. At first, I thought maybe OnlyFans took it down. But when I emailed support, they told me my account had been transferred to a new owner 2 days earlier. The username was the same, but the display name had changed. It now read, Texas Sundown, owned by Warden. I don't remember the next few hours clearly. I called Liv, panicking, crying, begging her to come over. She did, and when she saw what was on my laptop screen, she went pale. My page had been completely redesigned. There were videos of me, clips from my old streams, but now they had new scenes edited in, scenes I never recorded, like me sleeping, changing clothes, all of it filmed from angles I didn't recognize. Liv shut the laptop, called the cops. They filed a report, took the computer, and told me to stay with a friend for a few nights. I packed a bag, grabbed my phone, and left. We stayed at Liv's place on the west side of town. The first 2 nights were okay. We joked about it, trying to make light of things. But on the 3rd night, at around 2 a.m., Liv shook me awake. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "Grace, your page is live again." She turned her laptop toward me, and there it was. A new stream. The screen showed my bedroom, except I wasn't there. The video was live, time-stamped, running now. The camera panned slowly across the room, like someone was holding it, breathing softly into the mic. Liv whispered, "That's your place, right?" I couldn't speak. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might pass out. Then the camera stopped on something, the closet door. Slowly, it creaked open. A faint shadow moved inside. Then the stream cut to black. Liv immediately called the police while I sat frozen on her couch, watching that black screen. The stream had ended, but the chat was still active. Hundreds of viewers posting laughing emojis, skulls, and messages like, "This is insane. Is it real? Who's the guy behind the camera? She's not acting." When the police arrived, I could barely speak. They checked my old apartment and confirmed what I already feared. Someone had been there. The lock wasn't broken, but the door frame had faint marks, like it had been picked. Inside, everything looked exactly as I'd left it, except for one thing. My webcam, which had been unplugged, was now reconnected, and taped underneath my bed was a small black box, a hidden transmitter. The detective said it was a live streaming device, the kind hackers use for real-time surveillance. It had a wireless connection and a built-in battery that could last days. Someone had planted it inside my room. They took it as evidence, but weeks passed with no updates. I moved again, this time to a new city, new number, no social media, no bank cards connected to my real name. I thought maybe, finally, it was over. Then I got an email. No subject line, just an attachment, a short video. I hesitated before clicking it, but my curiosity, or maybe my need for closure, won. The clip was only 5 seconds long. It showed my new apartment. The same sofa, same curtains, the same view from the hallway camera I'd installed myself. But in the last second, the camera tilted, showing the inside of the front door. And carved into the wood, in small, jagged letters, was one word. WARDEN. I screamed, the kind that makes your throat raw. I went to the police again, but they said the email was untraceable, sent through an encrypted proxy. No source, no IP, nothing. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor, clutching a kitchen knife, waiting for something. Anything. The walls creaked. The pipes groaned, and I swore I heard faint static in my ears. I decided to check the apartment one last time before dawn. Every room, every corner. When I reached the living room, I noticed something odd. A faint blue light under the TV stand. It was a small device, blinking softly. When I crouched to look, I realized what it was. A wireless camera. Newer. Smaller, more advanced than the last one. I yanked it out of the socket, my hands shaking, and smashed it against the wall. The light went out. For the first time in months, I cried, not because I was scared, but because I realized something terrible. It wasn't over, because it couldn't be over. This man, whoever he was, didn't want money. He didn't want sex. He wanted control. And no matter how many accounts I deleted, or how many times I moved, he'd always find a way back in. I left the city the next morning, sold everything I couldn't carry. Now I live in a small cabin near the mountains in Colorado. No internet, no streaming, no digital trace. I pay cash for everything. But sometimes at night, I hear faint static again, like a signal searching for connection. And once in a while, when the wind dies down and the air turns completely still, I swear I can hear a voice whisper through the static. "You're live, Grace." The words echo in my head until sunrise. I've destroyed every device I own, but I can't shake the feeling that somewhere, in some dark corner of the web, my stream is still running. My face frozen in fear, my voice trembling, and him behind the camera, watching, recording, forever. When my old roommate, Leah, told me she was making $5,000 a month on OnlyFans, I thought she was joking. We'd both moved to Los Angeles chasing something. She wanted to act, I just wanted to write. Rent was expensive, and money was always tight. So when she said, "You should join me, we could do collabs," I laughed it off. But after watching her go from stressed and broke to carefree and glowing, I started to wonder. She wasn't doing anything explicit, just lifestyle content, flirty photos, little ASMR-style videos. It didn't seem that bad. Then she got a new subscriber. Username, room rate. I remember the day she told me about him. She was sitting on the couch, sipping iced coffee, scrolling her messages. "This guy's weird," she said, smiling nervously. "He keeps tipping big money but never asks for anything. Just wants me to keep being real." A few days later, he sent her a message that made her pale. "The living room light looks better with the blinds half open." We both froze. Leah hadn't filmed in the living room. She always recorded in her room. Door closed, ring light on, everything controlled. I walked over to the window and pulled the blind shut. Across the street, in the building opposite ours, I could see rows of dark windows. One of them had a faint blue glow, like a screen. Leah shook her head. "Maybe he saw an old picture," she said. "I posted one on Instagram last month." But her voice trembled. The next night, we heard footsteps in the hallway outside our apartment. Slow, dragging, heavy. Then came a soft knock, just 2 taps. When Leah peeked through the peephole, no one was there. We both laughed it off. Kind of. But after that, she started locking her bedroom door at night. One morning, I woke up early to make coffee and noticed Leah's door was wide open. Her phone was on the couch, still logged into her OnlyFans. The chat window was full of messages from room rate. "Wake up, sunshine. I like watching you sleep. You look even prettier without the filters." My stomach twisted. I went to her room. The bed was empty, sheets tossed aside, the balcony door slightly open. I called her name. No answer. Then I saw it, her phone notification lighting up again. A new message from room rate. "Check the other side of the lens." My blood went cold. I ran to my room and ripped the cover off my webcam. It had a faint green light. On, recording. I yanked the cable out and threw the laptop on the floor. Then I called 911. The cops came within 15 minutes. They searched the apartment, asked questions, took statements. But Leah was gone. They found no signs of struggle, no forced entry. The balcony led to a small fire escape, but it didn't connect to any other floors. The only thing missing was her camera, the one she used for streaming. A few days later, I went to the police station to follow up. They hadn't found her. No traces, no cards used, no phone activity. But that night, around 11 p.m., I got an email. The subject line, "New upload from room rate." Inside was a link, private, unlisted. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely click it. The page loaded slowly. It was a video, titled, "The Perfect Roommate." The video began with Leah, sitting on the couch, smiling, talking to the camera. It looked like one of her normal clips, but something was off. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, her voice low, mechanical. She said, "Thank you for watching. I'm home now." The camera panned slightly, revealing a different room behind her. The walls were concrete, no windows, a single flickering bulb above her head. And in the reflection of the glass table in front of her, I saw a man. A tall figure standing just behind the camera. I slammed the laptop shut so hard the sound echoed through the apartment. For a few seconds, I just sat there, staring at the wall, trying to breathe. My chest hurt, my skin prickled, and all I could think was, that wasn't old footage. That was new. I called the police again, told them about the email, the video, everything. They came the next morning, took my laptop, wrote their report, promised to investigate the source. 2 days later, the video disappeared. The link went dead. When I tried showing it to the detective again, the page said, "This content has been removed by the creator." The detective told me it could have been dark web circulation, a video posted anonymously, then pulled down before they could trace it. But I knew better. I knew he had pulled it. For weeks after that, I couldn't sleep. Every time I turned off the lights, I felt like someone was watching me through the vents, or the keyhole, or maybe even the reflection of my own phone screen. I moved out of that apartment, got a new job, changed everything. But the fear followed me. And then, one night, it happened again. I was sitting in my new place, a small studio in Pasadena, working late on my laptop. Suddenly, my screen flickered, just for a second, like a glitch. Then, my webcam light blinked on. I froze. It was like déjà vu, that same cold, prickling terror. I covered the camera with my thumb, yanked out the cord, and stared at the dark screen. But then, I heard something faint. A soft notification sound. A new email. From room rate. No message this time. Just an attachment. It was a single image file. I hesitated for a long time before opening it. It was a still frame. A screenshot. From a camera angle I recognized instantly. It was my own apartment. Taken from inside the closet. The timestamp was 4:03 a.m. that same morning. That's when I realized something I hadn't thought about before. In our old apartment, Leah's camera had always been pointed toward her bed, and she never liked me filming in her room because the lighting sucked. What if it wasn't about lighting? What if he had installed something back then, something we never found? Maybe he'd been watching both of us all along. That night, I packed a bag and drove straight to a cheap motel off the freeway. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just wanted one night of peace. But when I checked in and turned on the TV, the static screen flickered for a second. And then, for just a blink, I saw something that made my blood turn to ice. A frame of Leah. That same concrete room. That same dead look in her eyes. Then static again. I screamed and turned the TV off. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I went to the front desk to ask if anyone else had stayed in that room before me. The clerk looked up my number and said quietly, "Yeah, actually. A guy named Mr. R. Rate." My legs nearly gave out. I left that motel before sunrise and drove until my gas light came on. I don't even remember half the trip. Just headlights, fog, and that sick feeling in my stomach that I wasn't alone in the car. I ended up crashing at a friend's house outside Bakersfield, told her everything, and begged her to let me stay a few nights. She thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I am. But here's the thing, and it's why I'm writing this now. Yesterday, I got a new email. No subject, no text. Just a video thumbnail. It was me, sitting on the floor of her guest room, typing this story. And reflected faintly in the window behind me was the outline of someone standing in the dark, holding a camera. The file name read, roomrate_episode2.mp4. I closed my laptop and threw it in the trash. I haven't touched a device since. I'm writing this down on paper, in case anyone ever finds it. If you ever join OnlyFans, or stream, or post anything with a camera, remember this. Sometimes the person watching isn't behind a screen. Sometimes they're in the next room. And if you ever see the username roomrate, don't accept the subscription. I always thought I was careful. I didn't post my address, didn't tag my location, didn't even use my real name. Online, I was Riley Starr, a pixel-perfect fantasy made for screens. But my real name is Jenna, and this is the story of how someone found me anyway. I joined OnlyFans in late 2021. It wasn't about the money at first, not really. I'd been laid off from my marketing job in Seattle. My rent was months overdue, and I was tired of staring at rejection emails. I had a ring light, an iPhone, and a little charisma. That's all you really need to start. At first, it was almost empowering. I'd post pictures, talk to subscribers, make custom content. Nothing extreme. I kept my tone playful, my lighting soft, my background generic, a few fairy lights and a plain wall. But then I got a new subscriber. His username was The Collector. He stood out immediately. He didn't flirt, didn't beg for nudes, didn't say anything crude. Instead, his messages were oddly formal, almost poetic. "The light in your room reminds me of a painter's studio," he once wrote. "Do you ever leave it on when you sleep?" I remember laughing when I read that. Creepy, sure, but harmless. I ignored it. Then he sent me a $500 tip. No request attached, just the message. "For your new camera." I didn't even mention I needed a camera. Still, I thanked him. It was enough to cover a month's rent. A few weeks later, another tip came through. $1,000 this time. Then $2,000. The collector never asked for anything explicit. He just watched. He said he liked my background, that the shadows in the corners looked like they moved. At first, I thought he meant it as a compliment on my lighting setup, until one night, during a live stream, something strange happened. It was around 1 a.m. My followers were quiet, mostly idle. I was chatting casually, fixing my hair, drinking tea, nothing out of the ordinary. But as I glanced at the chat window, I saw a message from the collector that froze me mid-sentence. "Someone's behind you." I turned so fast I nearly dropped my phone. Nothing. The chat went wild, laughing emojis, people typing, "Nice try," others saying, "She's scared, LOL." I laughed it off too, forcing a smile, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. After that, things started feeling wrong. Not dangerous at first, just wrong. When I wasn't streaming, I'd catch faint flickers in the corner of my vision, like the ring light turning on by itself. Once, I found my phone recording even though I'd locked it. And sometimes, in the replays, I could swear I saw shapes moving in the dim parts of the frame. I convinced myself it was burnout. I took a break for 2 weeks. When I came back, I decided to film from a new angle, facing my apartment's large bay window instead of the wall. It was a beautiful backdrop at night, the Seattle skyline glittering in the distance. But as soon as I went live again, the collector was there. First in the chat, as always. "Welcome home, Riley," he wrote. "The new view is perfect. I can see everything now." My stomach twisted. That night, I ended the stream early. The next morning, I woke up to find a new DM waiting for me. Do you ever hear them whisper when the lights go off? That one broke me a little. It wasn't playful anymore. I blocked him, reported the account, even emailed OnlyFans support. They said they'd look into it. But the next night, another account followed me. Username, collector_2. Same writing style, same messages, same eerie fascination with my room. "There's a dark spot on the left side of your window. Don't clean it. I like it there. I unplugged everything that night. Lights, camera, laptop. Slept with the TV on just to keep from feeling alone. But when I woke up around 4 a.m., the room was lit again. The ring light was glowing, soft and white, pointed directly at my bed. I got up, trembling, unplugged it again, and tossed it into my closet. The next morning, there was another DM waiting, from an entirely new account. "I saw you in the dark. You looked beautiful when you stood up." That was it. I deleted my OnlyFans, changed my email, got a new number. I even called a locksmith and replaced the locks, just to be safe. But that night, I still couldn't shake the feeling that my camera lens even went off. was somehow aware. I left it face down. And still, at 3:17 a.m., my phone buzzed once. No notification, just one buzz, like someone had typed something and deleted it before it could send. When I finally fell asleep, I dreamed of static, endless white noise, and faint voices whispering behind it. When I woke up, my phone was recording again, the red light blinking softly. The video was only 8 seconds long, but it was enough to make me leave my apartment for good. It showed my room exactly as it was. The bed, the lamp, the window. Except, in the reflection of the window glass, was a man. I didn't go back to that apartment for 3 days. Stayed at a friend's place, lied that my bathroom ceiling had collapsed. She believed me. She always said the building looked haunted anyway. But I couldn't stay there forever. My stuff, my rent, my life. It was all still sitting in that small 6th-floor unit on Madison Avenue, waiting for me. When I finally worked up the courage to go back, it was a Sunday morning. The sky was gray, the kind of Seattle gray that seeps into your skin. I unlocked the door slowly, expecting something, anything, to jump out. The place smelled like dust and lavender detergent. Quiet. Too quiet. Everything was where I'd left it. The bed, the desk, the ring light shoved into the closet. But when I walked toward the window, my heart nearly stopped. There was a handprint on the glass, a large one, smudged, like someone had pressed against it from the outside. My unit was 6 stories up. No balcony, no ledge, just empty air. I backed away, my pulse hammering. That's when my phone buzzed again. A notification from an unknown number. New message. Check your drive, Riley. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't want to. But curiosity and fear are close cousins. I opened my laptop, logged into my cloud drive, and there it was. A new folder. Stream backups inside were dozens of video files, each labeled by date, each one of my old live streams. Except they weren't recordings I had saved. They were camera angles I'd never set up. One clip showed my room from above, like from the ceiling vent. Another from near the floor, facing my bed. Every video ended the same way. A faint shadow appearing near the window, then static. And in the final file, the one labeled with yesterday's date, the static didn't come immediately. It showed me leaving. Then, 30 seconds after I shut the door, a man stepped into the frame. He wasn't pixelated or glitchy. He was solid, clear, tall, wearing dark clothes, a mask that looked like a mannequin's face. He walked straight to my desk, picked up my camera, and whispered something into it. I turned the volume all the way up, trembling. The whisper was barely audible, but I could make out the words. I only collect the ones who look back. Then he turned the camera toward the window. Outside, in the reflection, there were dozens of faint silhouettes watching from the night. I slammed the laptop shut and vomited right there on the floor. That wasn't possible. None of it was. I went to the police. Again. This time, I showed them the files. They took my laptop, asked if anyone had access to my apartment. I told them no. One of the officers, a younger guy, looked at me strangely and said, "You're the second OnlyFans girl this month reporting something like this." That chilled me more than anything. I asked him what he meant. He hesitated before saying, "They call him the collector online. Been around since 2019. Every victim says the same thing, that he watches them through their own cameras." He tried to sound skeptical, but I could see the unease in his eyes. After that, I didn't sleep. Not for days. I stayed with my friend again, but even there, things weren't right. Her smart TV turned on by itself. My phone kept buzzing, even though I'd changed my number again. And one night, while scrolling through a new social app just to distract myself, I froze. There was a new account. Profile name: The Collector Returns. Bio line: The stream never ends. It just moves. The profile picture was a still frame, my own room. But something new was added in the corner of the image. A photo pinned to the wall. It was me, standing by the window, taken from behind. That's when I noticed something horrifying. In the reflection of the window, the man in the mannequin mask was standing right behind me. I deleted the app immediately, tossed my phone across the room, and curled up on the floor. By morning, I'd made my decision. I drove out of Seattle. No plan, no destination. I just kept heading east until I crossed into Idaho. Ended up renting a tiny cabin in a mountain town where cell service barely worked. No internet, no cameras, no microphones. For a week, it was peaceful. Then one night, while reading by candlelight, I heard a faint static sound, like white noise leaking through wood. It was coming from the closet. I opened the door slowly, and there, on the top shelf, was my old ring light. The same one I'd thrown away weeks ago. Its power cord was unplugged, but the light was on. Soft and white, humming faintly. There was a folded piece of paper beneath it. I unfolded it with shaking hands. It was a printed screenshot, one of my old streams, with text scrawled across it in red ink. I never stopped watching. That night, I smashed the light, burned the paper, and left the cabin before sunrise. Now I'm writing this from a public library, using one of those old computers with no webcam. I've stopped using my real name. I pay cash for everything. But sometimes, when the screensaver flickers, I swear I can see faint outlines, like faces trapped behind glass. Watching. I know how crazy that sounds. I also know this. Every night at exactly 3:17 a.m., the static comes back, and in it, I can hear a voice whispering through the speakers. Calm, patient, almost gentle. Riley, I found you again. So if you're reading this, and you ever start an account, or stream, or share your room online, check your camera lens, turn off your ring light, and if you ever get a message from someone called The Collector, don't open it, because once you're part of his stream, you never log off. It's strange how silence can feel louder than any sound. That's what I remember most about the night it happened. The silence. My name is Alyssa Park, and until last year, I was what people online call a top earner. My OnlyFans wasn't wild or flashy. I built it around intimacy, quiet chats, cozy lighting, whispers. It wasn't about nudity. It was about connection. That's what drew people in, or at least, that's what I thought. When I first started, I lived in a small one-bedroom apartment in Portland. Clean, minimal, with a huge window overlooking the city. I kept my setup simple. A cheap camera, fairy lights, warm colors, nothing too personal. Every night around midnight, I'd go live for my subscribers. I'd sit cross-legged on the bed, sip wine, talk about my day. Sometimes I'd do soft-spoken ASMR. Sometimes I'd just listen to music and read messages. It felt safe. It felt normal. Until one night, a user joined named Offline. His username alone was weird enough, but the profile picture caught my eye. Just a black screen. Nothing else. His first message wasn't like the others. "You sound lonely." I remember typing back, joking, "Don't we all?" He didn't reply. Over the next few weeks, Offline kept appearing in my chat. never saying much, just watching. When I'd ask questions or tell stories, his typing bubble would pop up for a second, then disappear. One night, though, he sent something that gave me chills. "You should move your camera. The left side of your room is prettier." I frowned, glancing around. The left side of my room was a plain wall. No decorations, no lights, nothing. I ignored the message and kept streaming. A few minutes later, he typed again. "There's someone behind you." I froze, slowly turned. Nothing there but shadows. My heart was hammering, but I forced a smile and brushed it off for my viewers. That night, after I ended the stream, I noticed something weird. My camera light was still on, even though I'd closed the app. I unplugged it, rebooted my laptop, and told myself it was a glitch. But something in my gut felt wrong. The next morning, I woke up to a new message, not on OnlyFans, but in my email. The sender's name, offline. No address, no reply option, just that name. The message said, "The left side of your room is darker now. You should fix the bulb." My stomach twisted. I hadn't streamed that night. No one should have known that my lamp had burned out hours earlier. I deleted the message and went to work like nothing happened. But when I came home that evening, there was a small box sitting by my door. No label, no return address. Inside was a single new light bulb. I didn't sleep that night. I told myself it had to be a prank. Maybe one of my followers found my building from the background view. Maybe it was just bad luck. But paranoia doesn't listen to logic. I started covering my windows, turning off my camera when I wasn't using it, unplugging everything. Still, sometimes when I came home, I'd find little things different. The blinds slightly open, the chair moved an inch, the faint scent of cologne that wasn't mine. And then one night, while streaming, I heard it. A soft click, like a door latch. I froze mid-sentence. My mic picked it up too, because the chat started spamming. "What was that? Someone's in your house?" I tried to laugh it off. "Probably my fridge," I said. But inside, my blood ran cold. After I ended the stream, I turned on every light in the apartment and checked every corner. Nothing. Doors locked, windows shut. But when I checked my OnlyFans inbox, there was a new message from offline. "You look prettier when you pretend not to notice." I called the police that night. They checked everything. No forced entry, no footprints, nothing. The officer told me to get a security camera. I bought 3, installed them the next day. That night, I felt better, safer. I poured a drink, opened my laptop, and started a stream. Just a casual one, chatting with subscribers, answering questions. I even made a joke about my ghost viewer. But halfway through, my camera glitched. Just a flicker, a single frame, but enough to make me stop talking. The chat went dead silent. For less than half a second, the screen had shown a figure. Tall, standing in the left corner of my room, the side I never filmed. I turned, but the corner was empty. I ended the stream immediately. When I checked the recording later, the glitch was gone, like it had never happened. A few days later, I got another email, this time with an attachment, a photo. It was me, asleep in bed. The angle was from the left side of my room. I screamed, ran to the door, and called 911 again. They came, searched, told me there was no sign of forced entry again. The detective, an older guy with tired eyes, said, "Maybe it's a stalker using your online content." People get creative, but the thing was, I'd never shown my bed on camera. Not once. That night, I unplugged everything, packed a bag, and went to stay at a cheap roadside motel outside the city. I didn't care about my stuff anymore. I just wanted to sleep without feeling eyes on me. But when I checked into the room, I noticed something strange. The TV was on, just static, and scrawled across the screen, faintly in the flicker of white noise, were the words, "Welcome back, Alyssa." I stood in the motel room doorway for a long time, watching the static dance across the television. The snow-white noise filled the silence like breath. I tried changing the channel, pulling the plug, even smacking the side of the screen. Nothing. The static just stayed. When I finally turned away, my reflection in the dark window looked warped, like there was a second face a step behind mine. I told myself it was exhaustion. I hadn't slept properly in days. I curled up on the bed with the lamp on and drifted in and out until the first gray light of morning. At 6 a.m., I woke to the sound of a phone buzzing. Not mine, the motel landline. I hesitated, then picked up. "Did you fix the bulb?" a voice whispered. Click. Silence. My hands were shaking so hard the receiver slipped from my grip. I packed my things within minutes and drove east again. Past Gresham, into the woods where the cell signal died. I found another cabin, no Wi-Fi, no television, no anything, and paid cash to stay a week. For the first 2 nights, nothing happened. I cooked simple food, read paperback thrillers by candlelight, listened to the wind through the trees. I almost started to believe it was over. Then, on the 3rd night, I heard the click. Soft, familiar. A door latch, far away but inside. I held my breath, staring at the cabin's front door. The latch moved again, slow, deliberate. There shouldn't have been anyone out here. The owner lived miles away. I grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy lantern, and edged forward. The sound came once more, but this time from behind me. The closet. I swung the door open, nothing but coats, except the smell of warm electronics. There, half hidden under a folded blanket, was a black device, small, blinking faintly. A camera, the same brand I used back in Portland. I yanked the battery out and threw it against the wall. It shattered, sparking once before dying. That night I sat outside on the porch until sunrise, staring at the trees, trying to convince myself that maybe someone had rented the cabin before me and left it there. Maybe. But the next morning, when I came back inside, a single sentence was written across the fogged window in finger-thin lines. "You're never really offline." By then, I'd stopped trying to call the police. What would I say? That the internet itself was following me. I decided to drive to my brother's place in Spokane. He was the only person who still picked up when I called. Halfway through the drive, my phone buzzed even though I'd turned off data. One notification. From offline. It was a live stream link. I almost threw the phone out the window, but my thumb twitched, curiosity winning again. The stream opened to a grainy video feed. My cabin. The front porch, empty except for the chair I'd sat in all night. Then, slowly, the camera turned toward the window. My blood ran cold. Inside, through the glass, the words were still there. But now another message had been added underneath, scrawled larger. "Keep driving." The feed cut to black. I reached Spokane by afternoon. My brother didn't ask many questions. He could see the fear in my eyes. I crashed on his couch and told him everything, or at least the parts that made sense. He promised to help me wipe my accounts, change my name, start fresh. That night, we sat together deleting profiles, clearing drives, burning old SD cards in a coffee can outside. When we went back in, the lights flickered once, just once. I tried to laugh it off. Bad wiring. But the next morning, when I opened my laptop to factory reset it, the screen flickered and a video started playing automatically. A live stream from the laptop's own webcam. Only the camera was pointed at us, at that exact couch. Except in the video, my brother wasn't there, just me. Sitting alone, staring at the screen, whispering the same phrase again and again. I'm still online. The timestamp on the recording was for tomorrow. I shut the computer, threw it into the bathtub, and ran the water until the bubbles swallowed the hum of electronics. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the porch with a blanket, watching the empty street. No cars, no people, just the occasional flicker of a streetlight fighting the darkness. At 3:17 a.m., the same cursed hour every time, the static sound returned. This time from outside. I followed it down the block, barefoot, shivering in my sweatshirt. The noise led me to an old electronics repair shop, long closed, windows covered in dust. Through the glass, I saw dozens of broken televisions stacked on shelves, each one glowing faintly, showing tiny pieces of moving images. I wiped a circle in the grime and peered closer. Every screen showed a different stream. Girls in bedrooms, guys on gaming chairs, couples cooking dinner. All live, all unaware. And in every single feed, the chat box flickered the same username again and again. And then all the screens went black, and reflected in the glass behind me was my own face, smiling when I wasn't. I don't remember running back or packing or driving. I just remember headlights and rain until the morning sky turned white. I live off the grid now. No phone, no laptop, no accounts. But sometimes, when I pass a store window or a switched-off screen, I see faint lines forming in the reflection, like words drawn by unseen fingers. Signal found? When that happens, I don't look again, because I've learned the truth. You can delete your account, destroy your devices, vanish from every platform, but you can never really go offline.